Okay, just an injury update to start on LaRaven. We'll confirm the Achilles injury, so he'll be out for the year. Tough break for us and for LaRaven, but obviously that's a big loss. LaRaven's come in and had a really good year for us, so we'll get him. He'll start the next steps towards that recovery, and we'll give him all the support that he needs. But and then as far as game summary. Just a quick, go over a couple things. Looking at the tape, obviously a good win, big division win, right? They're all important, but these division games are doubly important. So go on the road against a team that's playing good. Just find a way to win. And it was a unique way to find a way to win, but we did it. And so we've done that 8 times, and we haven't done that 4 times. And all that matters is that we find a way to win this next game. So just a few things after watching the tape. Special teams, I thought we covered well on punts in Rigo's absence. Ryan came in, did a good job. I thought the punt team really talked about holding down the fort for Rigo. I thought we did that. I thought we protected well. I thought we covered well. We made all our kicks. That's a big deal, right? They missed one. It can be a different game if we don't make all those kicks. Then we had 2 explosive returns that got called back. We really were trying to, every game you're trying to get that explosive return, but just increased emphasis, and just unfortunate we had the 2 penalties. We got to make better decisions in those moments. We believe we have an explosive returners, and those plays are huge, and obviously could have been huge to seal that game in some ways. And then defensively, I thought we played well. I'm happy with the way we played. Talked to Flus this morning. I said, hey, you can tell me you hold that offense to 20 points. I don't care if they all come in the first quarter, if they all come, just hold that offense to 20 points. And that's got to be good enough. That's an elite quarterback. He's going to find ways to make plays. I thought we had some good things schematically, defensively for him. Watching the tape, we got home and we got him down. We sacked him 5 times, but he got away and made some explosive plays. And we knew that was going to happen. So overall, I thought the defense played well. Had a few 3rd down situations that they broke out, and we got to be better in those situations. But obviously a lot of room to improve, but happy overall with the defensive effort and the defensive play. And, Grover's play at the end was huge. Just a little behind the scenes story on that one. It was not too long before that play, Grove had come over on the sideline and told Flus that he wanted to run this one particular stunt. And so on that play, they called the stunt, that Grover crossed the guy's face and penetrated, and obviously was there to, when the ball was fumbled, to, keep the ball alive for a walk to recover it. So good communication there between a great player and Grover and Flus and the defensive coaches. A good example of how we do this together. It's players and coaches together. It's a great player coming over and say, hey, I can beat this guy on this move. And a coach respond and say, okay, let's do it. And then picking the right time to do it. So hats off to Grove and to the defensive staff for calling that play at just the right time. And then offensively, red hot start, scored on 4 of the first 5 drives. Second half, not so hot, no points. That's never acceptable. The positive was, 82 yards rushing in the second half. Jonathan really looked good. We ran the ball well in the second half. Had a few, it wasn't like we were going 3 and out. We had a 7-10 and a 7-play drive, along the second half there. But we got to be better in the second half on offense. Just give you a little bit on the 4th down call, just for fun. I'd rather do that after a win than after a loss, quite honestly. So, looked at it this morning. Got our analytics guys just to give me some background stats. So I just thought I'd pass it along to you to save you guys some research, but just for fun. But these are things that we keep up with all the time. So I'll just run down a few stats. First of all, I just think those 4th down calls are fun. I mean, that's what we're committed to it as a team, as an organization. It's a belief in the players, but it's not just reckless belief. There's a lot that goes into it. But I understand both sides of the equation always. And I'm never a guy that's saying, hey, we're doing this every time. It's always weigh the options, but you got to do it in a hurry. So but understand both positions. But for us, that was a clear go. It wasn't even close. Very confident that was the right decision for us, even though we didn't make it. In that instance, a field goal puts us up 7. They got plenty of time. They go down and score. In my mind, I'm convinced that they're going for 2 in the win. And they probably got the best quarterback in the league on a 2-point play. He's probably the one guy you want on your team when you're going for it on a 2-point play. So we just wanted to put the game away. We just didn't convert. As far as the play call, after looking at it, you guys know how I feel. If we don't make it on 4th down, it's my fault. Those aren't just words. I really don't think it was the best play call in hindsight. The play draws up well. The play can be blocked. The play had options. Philip made the right decision. We didn't execute it quite the way we needed to execute it, but it was more on me. I didn't put the players in the best position possible. So it wasn't one of our core plays. And when the game's on the line, it's got to be something that you got a lot of reps at. And that particular scenario that came up wasn't a scenario that we had covered enough. And so I take responsibility for that. And I got to be better there. I got to put our guys in the right position. Thankfully, it didn't cost us. Defense, bailed us out by getting the turnover there at the end. So I will say that same aggressive 4th down mentality, obviously we scored a touchdown on 4th and 4. So it's the same, to me, if you're looking at those things, you got to count both of those. And then lastly, just a couple stats on the matter. Okay. So we're 9 for 14 on the year on 4th and 1, 64%. The NFL average is 65%. Of our 14 4th and 1s, 12 of the 14 have been runs, 86%. The league average is 76% run, just in case you're curious. We've converted 8 of the 12 runs on 4th and 1. That's 67%. The NFL 4th and 1 run conversion is 68%. So we're right at the league average there. We're 1 for 2 passing it on that situation. So those are a couple of the stats behind it, just for your viewing, listening pleasure. Those are always fun. That's what makes this game so fun to watch and be a part of, that we can debate those things. And those are decisions that need to be made in real time. And we're confident in the philosophy that we have and the approach that we have in those situations. Okay, open it up to questions.
All right, Joel Erickson.
Frank, with the Raven out, is that Chaz Green stepping in there? And how much is Chaz sort of dealing with a back injury right now? I know he didn't practice the first 2 days last week.
Yeah, Chaz has been working through a back injury, made some progress last week and felt good in the game. And so, he's the next man up. And I thought he did some good things in the game. Obviously they got some good players and they're playing, they've been playing pretty good on defense as of late. So I thought Chaz held his own.
Who would be the swing tackle if Anthony's not back and Chaz is starting with Braden?
Yeah, those are all options that we've talked about. Obviously, there is plan B and C. I don't want to commit to those, on a conference call right now. We'll see how things play out this week. The process is in the works. Chris has the process going of getting another tackle in the building or another offensive lineman in the building. So that process is underway. And then, once we have everybody in the building and we assess where everybody is at physically, then we'll put our plan together for this week.
Mike Chappell.
Two things. One, a quick follow-up there. The fact that you guys didn't put Castonzo on IR means you didn't think it was going to be long-term or 3 games. Is there a chance he's back this week, or is that a stretch?
Well, no, I think you're right, Chap, that the reason, you guys all did the math that we didn't put him on IR because we thought there was a chance that we can get him back before then, but we don't know. So, but he's the kind of player, if you're ever going to take that chance at that position, and because of who he is, let's not lock ourselves in, and in case he has a speedy recovery. So we haven't ruled anything out. we'll see. Obviously he had the weekend to rest, and, he's continuing to rehab it and do everything right. We all know he's very meticulous. He's doing everything possible. So, as far as this week, it's way too early to commit to that. We'll get to Wednesday and assess where he's at and then go from there.
Also, as much as you go on your gut and your analytics charts, in any scenario on 2nd and 2 with a minute and a half to go, do you let him score?
Yeah, no, a good question. That there are situations, but that was not one of them. And it didn't get brought up in the moment. I talked to our analytics guys after the game about it. That wasn't a scenario in which it would have been really hard for me to let him score. I'm not going to lie, in that scenario. So yeah, that did not get talked about.
Olivia Ray.
Coach, I wanted to clear this up now. I know you talked about Phil will be managing his pain for the time being, and I didn't know if you could lay out what that timeline looks like as we head into another game week.
Yeah, I mean, we all know, he's got this turf toe, and, you guys all know that this turf toe thing is, it's painful. And, and everybody knows that there's degrees of it. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know, you could never get him to tell you. He's not the kind of guy who's going to tell you what his number score on that 0 to 10, on that 1 to 10 is going to be. So that's just not, I've known Philip for a long time. He's the kind of guy where, unless he's walking around in a boot, which he is, you wouldn't know it. I mean, because he's not going to talk about it. He's not going to, he's just going to go about his business. So I don't want to make it sound like he's Superman or anything. I mean, but that's just the way he's been brought up. That's, so, I know he's getting better. Like I said the other day, I didn't feel hindered at all the way I called the game and watching the tape. Do I think he's 100%? No, he's not 100%. Do I think he's physically in good enough condition to play winning football against the best teams in the league? I do. But is he 100%? No, he's not 100%. But I think he's getting better every week. And we just hope, the goal is get these games in without having a major setback. And to the best of my knowledge, we did not have any setbacks yesterday.
Stephen Holder.
Frank, I hope this isn't too broad of a question, but I'm wondering if you could kind of just explain how you think your offense has evolved over the course of the season. And I ask that partly because, I mean, obviously you lost Marlon early. You maybe haven't run the ball like you maybe, would have been expected. And so I just figured maybe the offense has kind of evolved from that. And I don't know, I guess I'm wondering how you see it. And maybe the answer is it hasn't. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, I think there is, Stephen. And, and honestly, some of it, some of it I don't want to say because it's a philosophical thing that I wouldn't want a competitive advantage. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just small tweaks in our approach that we've made, that small philosophical tweaks that we've made that every team makes, based on your personnel and who's healthy and who your guys are. So, and the development of those guys and the chemistry and all those things. So I'm really not trying to make a big deal about it, but we have done that maybe a little bit more than normal. In small ways and in conscious ways. And I think we're still thinking that, we had a good conversation last week, as, Nick and I did with the offensive staff, on 1 or 2 things that you're talking about there, Stephen, as far as, again, always just reassessing what our identity is. I mean, you guys know me well enough to know we're kind of very principally based. So, what is our identity? And so we're talking about those things all the time and reassessing those things and where we're going. So that's an ongoing discussion that gets tweaked as the season goes on.
Is it fair that, well, let me say this, from an outsider, a layperson's view, it feels like their identity was a little clearer the last couple of years, and maybe that has to do with personnel. I don't know. Is that a fair statement, observation, or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I would say, it was a unique circumstance this year in that, we get a new quarterback, we have all these new draft picks, and we don't have an off season to figure everything out. But every team is in the same thing. And when you change quarterbacks, that's a pretty big deal. So, so to whatever degree of truth that one might believe that there is in the statement that you're making, I think that's one of the factors.
Right. Jim Iowa.
Yeah, Frank, I wanted to go to the fourth down call, but the 4th and 4 play, the one that resulted in the touchdown, that looked an awful lot like a play that had worked out well for you guys against Cincinnati, where Phil made some checks and found, I think, an open Jonathan Taylor. He swung out to the left, and it was a blown coverage. I didn't know, was that a check or was that a play call? Again, I know you can't tell us too much about that, but what exactly kind of happened there to result in Taylor running free for a touchdown?
Yeah, no, appreciate that question. No, it was not a check. It was a play call. It was, Nick and his staff did a great job on that, just the play design. We talked about that very situation. We talked about that very play, but then the players, and Philip in particular, did a great job of, getting up there and snapping it. We have this one mode that we call speed break, where we're intentionally breaking the huddle and trying to go fast. Well, we weren't in that mode, but Philip sensed that they were confused. So he sped up the process, and consequently they busted the coverage, and Philip saw it, and we scored. So, but that process was not unlike what happened on the 4th and 1, where, like, I had some people say to me, hey, it looked a little, not only did we not like the 4th and 1 call, just handing it Naheem up the middle, it just felt like a little sped up, like it was a little bit, and it was a little bit the same way, in that the way we had rehearsed that play was we didn't need to huddle. There was an element of that play that we were trying to catch the defense before they got completely set. So one time it worked and scored a 39-yard touchdown, and the other time, it didn't. But even the second one was not rushed. It was when I gave Philip the call. What happened on that one, I know you didn't ask this, Jim, but just kind of connecting the two is, Philip saw some of the guys. He thought that maybe for a second the field goal team was running on because he saw some guy. And then I got to him on the phone and said, we're going for it. Here's the play. And as soon as I gave him the play, he knew it was the kind of play that we were going right on the ball. There was no need to huddle. So in both instances, that there was similar deal. 4th down, the pressure's on. We know exactly what we want to do. So let's see if we can catch the defense off guard. We did that one time and we failed the other time.
So looking back on the 4th and goal one, when you say you didn't like the play call, would if you look back and say, maybe I should have called a timeout once we didn't get up to the line and hurry and got a new play, or what's maybe the correction, I guess?
Yeah, well, that's a good observation, Jim. When on the plane ride home, when I went back and had a short conversation with Philip and Jacoby, just debriefing on that whole scenario. After I made the call, that thought did run through my mind. It didn't feel, it just didn't feel right to me. And it just didn't feel right. And the thought went through my mind, call a timeout and let's reassess this. This is a big deal. And I've done that in the past, but I didn't do it there. And so if it works, and great, it's great, but it didn't. So if it didn't, then I'm going to learn from it, and I'll learn from it and say, you know what, trust your instincts. You felt like you should call timeout and reassess it. That's probably what I should have done.
All right, we'll go 2 more. Kevin Bowen.
Frank, at this point in the season, sometimes you hear that phrase, rookie wall. It almost, I get the sense that Jonathan is the exact opposite of it. Maybe he's starting to come on a bit. Do you have that feeling? Do you sense that at all with him? And if so, why or why not?
Yeah, I do. And just because of his work ethic, because of his makeup, I think the same thing about Pittman as well. Probably Julian Blackman. I mean, really, I think about our rookie class. A lot of these guys have the kind of makeup, but Jonathan in particular really feels like, I feel like these last 2 games for him, he's just running very decisive, very aggressive, with a lot of confidence. And I think he's seeing it well. And so we just got to continue to build on that.
All right, last one, Mike Wells.
Frank, two-part question. The first one, at what point in the season do you guys say there won't be enough time for Paris to come back, or have you guys made that decision yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty big on not making a decision before you need to. You know, we can in the back of our minds feel like we know how it's going to go, but there's no need to make a declaration, you know, not for the public or even not internally. Why do that? You know, why do that? So, you know, do you have a feeling the way something's, you know, of course we have a feeling the way it's going to go, but what does it accomplish by, but then to Mike, to your point, at other times it makes sense, right? Well, you know what, let's just go ahead and make a declaration. And we do that on a case by case basis. So on one player and on one injury, we might decide to make a declaration and say, you know what, this guy's not coming back this year. And then it might be another player, it might be similar, it might even be the same injury, just a different player. And we might say, you know what, for the various reasons, we're not going to make a declaration on it. And for right now, at least for today, you know, we're just in that mode with Paris about not making any declaration at him at this time.
And then the other part, I wanted to, not to keep harping on the 4th and goal, the 4th and 1 call. Correct me if I got this wrong, but you made a mention that was not one of your core plays on your 4th. Is that correct? On the 4th
Yeah,
call?
yeah, that's what I said. Yes.
Okay. So
meaning that, I mean, it was a inside zone play, which is a core play, but the personnel grouping in that we were in and doing it against the front, when you add up all the moving parts, we had done it enough, but not enough for me in that situation in hindsight.
That's what I was going to ask. So considering what was on the line, where you guys are at, not wanting to let Deshaun get back, you know, keep it a 1-score game, what goes into that process of making that call, knowing the situation as far as not, you know, using that play a lot?
Well, I'll just say this, I mentioned you guys yesterday, there were other options. There was a pass option on it. We got a little wide receiver screen going on out there. If they go blitz zero, Philip made the right decision because they passed it off out there and had it covered out there. The defensive end, you know, when the tackle goes out to go to that wide receiver screen, it pulled the defensive end. So the guy who we're reading, the defensive end who we're reading, gave us a give read. So Philip gave the read inside. That's a play. We've run that play. We've repped that play. But the way we were doing it, this was just a little bit different. Conceptually, the play was not new at all. But as you guys know, we talk about this a lot. You can mix personnel groups, you can mix formations, and that's what we did on this play. We mixed personnel groups and we mixed formations on a play that we have run enough times, but we put that play in later in the week. We talked about that play being a 2-point play for us that we might even use in a critical moment. But in hindsight, you know, like I said, I take responsibility for it. It didn't work. And if it didn't work, then it's not the right play because we got good players. And if we put them in the right position, we'll execute and convert.
I will. Hey, Frank, I'll say this. I'll probably speak on behalf of all of us in media. I'm safe to say we appreciate you explaining this scenario to us because, of course, that obviously has been a hot topic question over the last 24 hours. So thank you for doing that.
You got it.